The great chamber of the Galactic Council was never silent. Normally it was full of soft sounds, the low hum of translators, the rustle of wings, the hiss of vents, the quiet buzz of energy shields. Hundreds of alien races spoke, argued, traded, and shouted in a dozen languages. But today the great chamber was different. Today, everyone was waiting for one small, strange species from a blue planet. Humans. Rows of floating seats circled the center of the chamber like rings around a star. In each ring sat ambassadors from powerful empires. Some were tall and crystal-like, shining like glass in the dim light. Some were soft and cloud-shaped, floating in their seats like mist. Others were scaled, furred, plated in armor, or covered in glowing symbols. They were old races, ancient powers, civilizations that had crossed the stars long before humans had even made fire. Yet today, all of them were watching a single empty platform in the center of the chamber, the human platform. High above, the chamber's dome showed a slow, moving view of the galaxy. Stars turned like a wheel. Nebulas glowed in purple and blue. It was meant to remind everyone that the Council ruled all this. But as the minutes passed, the beauty of the dome did not calm anyone. It only made them more tense. "Where is the human?" whispered a long, ribbon-shaped alien from the Scythe Collective. Its voice sounded like dry leaves. "They are late. How dare they make the Council wait?" "They are a young race," answered a thick stone-skinned being from the Core Dominion. "Young races do not understand respect." On another level, a hive of small, insect-like beings flashed colors across their shells. Their lights formed words only their nearby translator drone understood. "Humans should be grateful," the drone said in a soft, mechanical voice. "No young race has ever been invited so early. The Council is generous." Across the chamber, a tall, silver being with no face spoke quietly to its assistant. "If they accept," it said, voice calm, "we gain their world, their resources, their soldiers without war. If they refuse," it paused. "Well, they will not refuse." No one in the chamber believed humans would say no. The invitation to join the Galactic Union was the highest gift the Council could offer. Protection from enemies, access to advanced technology, trade with thousands of worlds, medical knowledge that could cure almost any disease. For young species like humans, it was like being handed the keys to the galaxy. "Ah," someone said softly, "there." The main door to the chamber opened with a deep, slow sound. Light from the outer hall spilled across the floor. A single figure walked through. The human ambassador. He was not tall compared to many races in the chamber, but he walked as if his height did not matter. His suit was simple, dark, clean, with a small emblem of a blue and green sphere on his chest. Earth. His face was calm, too calm. He stepped onto the central platform. The translators adjusted to his language. Lights along the edge of the platform turned blue, signaling the start of the session. At once, the quiet hum of the chamber changed. Beings shifted, screens adjusted, drones focused their cameras. The central podium rose from the floor. At the very top of the chamber, in a special ring of seats, sat the High Council. They were the oldest and most powerful rulers in the galaxy. Their bodies were hidden behind protective light fields. Their true forms were known to very few. One of them spoke, its voice carried by every translator at once. "Ambassador of Earth," it said, "you stand before the Galactic Council. We have read the report of your species. We have watched your progress with interest." A low ripple of sound rolled through the chamber at that word. Interest could mean many things. Less than 2 centuries ago, the High Counselor continued, your kind had not even left your own atmosphere. Now you travel your star system, you build stations, you send ships beyond your home. A pause, you are fast, too fast, some say. Several ambassadors looked away at that, guilty or worried. But the Council is generous. The voice said, we believe young races should be guided, not crushed. We offer you a place in the Galactic Union, protection, trade, knowledge beyond anything your world has ever seen. A thick glowing symbol appeared in the air above the human, the sign of union. It was made of shifting lines of light circling around a central star. The High Counselor's voice softened. Ambassador of Earth, will your species accept this offer? Will humanity join us in peace? The chamber held its breath. Every eye, every sensor, every camera focused on the human. He did not seem nervous. He did not fidget. He simply looked up as if he weighed the entire chamber with his eyes and then lifted his gaze to the spinning galaxy on the dome. For a brief second, the light caught his face, and some close observers saw something strange there. Not fear, not awe, something else. Something like pity. He stepped closer to the speaking circle. The translator halo formed around his head. When he spoke, his voice was clear and steady. It carried through the chamber like a line of steel. On behalf of the people of Earth, he said, I bring you our answer. The council leaned forward, then he said one word. No. The word was not shouted, it was not angry, it was simple, quiet, and final. But it hit the chamber like an explosion. Dozens of species gasped in their own ways. Some hissed, some clicked, some flared bright colors. A few simply froze, their bodies locking in shock. No, repeated the High Counselor as if the word was strange. Ambassador, perhaps the translators malfunctioned. We will, the translators work, the human said. Our answer is no. The buzzing in the chamber grew louder, private channels lit up with messages. Every ambassador spoke at once on their secure lines. This is madness. Do they not understand what we offer? Are they suicidal? Is this some kind of joke? The Stone-Skin Corps representative slammed a heavy fist into the arm of his seat. Let me speak to him, he growled to his aides. I will teach him respect. But the High Council regained control. Silence, the main voice ordered. The chamber dimmed slightly as the Central Authority field activated. The noise died down. Ambassador of Earth, the High Counselor said slowly, perhaps you do not understand. Refusing the Union is unwise. You are a young race. Your world is not yet strong. There are dangers in this galaxy you do not know. Pirates, conquerors, ancient weapons left from old wars. The Union protects you from these. Without us, Earth stands alone. The human listened without blinking. With respect, he said politely, we understand more than you think, and we still say no. The High Counselor's light field flickered, a small sign of anger. Do you speak only for yourself, or for your entire species? For all of humanity, the ambassador answered. Our governments agreed, our people agreed, our answer is final. A cold wave seemed to pass through the chamber. Some ambassadors activated secret scanners. They checked the human's heart rate, skin temperature, micro-expressions. They wanted to see fear, doubt, hidden panic. They saw none. Instead, his body showed something else. Control, training, preparation. Why? Asked a thin, many-eyed creature from the fourth ring. It could not hold its curiosity. It turned on its light, asking permission to speak. The High Council allowed it. Why refuse this? It demanded. You get everything, protection, knowledge, health, long life. The Union does not demand your culture, only taxes and some soldiers. Other races beg to join, you say no, why? Many others leaned forward, waiting for the answer. The human looked up at the rows of aliens. For a moment, his gaze met a dozen eyes, cameras, and sensor lenses. I cannot explain, he said simply. You could feel the anger rise. Cannot, repeated the Stone Core, almost spitting the word. Or will not, the human tilted his head. Both. That is not acceptable, said another counselor from the high ring. Its body burned with white light almost too bright to look at. The Union does not invite a race and then accept silence. You owe us a reason. The human's face stayed calm, but his eyes hardened just a little. With respect, he said again, we do not owe you anything. That sentence was like a slap. Some ambassadors locked their chairs to stop themselves from standing in rage. You stand before the greatest powers in the galaxy, said the bright counselor, voice like a blade. We could erase your world with a single fleet. And yet you did not, the human answered. You invited us instead. That line hung in the air. It was true. The Council had watched Earth for a long time. Some members had argued to invade early and control the dangerous young species. Others had said to ignore them. But in the end, the Council had chosen diplomacy. They had chosen to invite humans in. Ambassador, the main voice said again, trying a calmer tone, you must understand. Refusal has consequences. Without the Union, you have no protection treaties. You will face dangers alone. Your ships will not be allowed to dock at most ports. Many borders will be closed to you. Are you prepared for such a future? The human looked at the galaxy on the dome one more time. We are prepared, he said. Then you are fools, someone whispered, but not softly enough. The translator picked it up and sent it across a handful of channels. The human heard it. He smiled slightly, not with pride, not with anger, almost with sadness. I am sorry you think so, he replied, not pointing at anyone in particular, but we made our choice long ago. The High Council exchanged silent, encrypted messages. Light fields flickered as they spoke through hidden channels. Is this a trick? Perhaps another power controls them. Perhaps they seek more gifts, or they hide something. After a short moment, the main voice spoke again. Very well, Ambassador of Earth, it said. We cannot force you to accept. The Union makes offers, not chains. Your refusal will be recorded. Your world will remain outside Council law. You may leave. Gasps. Several ambassadors could not believe it. That's it, hissed the Scythe. We let them walk away, but the Council had spoken. The platform under the human began to lower, signaling the end of his turn. The door to the chamber opened again, waiting for him. Before he stepped off, he looked up at the Council one last time. Thank you for your offer, he said. And good luck, good luck. The words sounded harmless, polite even, but when they echoed in the chamber they carried a strange weight, like a warning, like a farewell. Then the human turned, walked across the platform, and left the chamber without looking back. The door closed behind him. For a long moment no one spoke. The galaxy turned slowly above them. Finally the High Counselor broke the silence. Session is suspended, the voice said, cold and flat. We will reconvene in 6 cycles to discuss this event. The lights shifted. The Council's official recording ended, but private channels exploded with noise. He knows something. They must be planning war. Maybe another empire backs them. No, they are alone. Then why are they not afraid? In the shadows near the outer ring, a small, unnoticed drone hovered close to the wall. It belonged to no official race. It carried no clear markings. Through its small lenses, it had watched the human very closely. Now it sent a single message across a hidden channel. Report. Humanity refused union. No fear detected. Subject appears certain. Recommend further observation. Possibility. Humans know something we do not. Far away on a silent station orbiting a dark star, someone read that message and smiled. In the great chamber, anger and confusion spread like fire. Some ambassadors demanded sanctions. Others demanded more study. A few very quiet ones suggested something different. Maybe, they whispered, we should be afraid, not of humans, of whatever makes humans say no. But for now, no one had answers. All they had was a single word that echoed in their minds, no. And the feeling that something had just shifted in the galaxy and that nothing would ever be the same again. The great chamber remained dim long after the human ambassador left. Most meetings ended with noise, diplomats shouting, arguing, demanding changes. But today the council hall felt heavy, like the air itself carried the word the human had spoken. No, that simple word bothered every species. It bothered them more than threats, more than weapons, more than war. Because humans had said it without fear. The high councilors shut down the official session, yet no one left the chamber. Groups formed across the circular rows, clusters of glowing bodies, whispering shells, humming crystals, and rumbling giants. Translators struggled as dozens of species tried speaking at once. They hide something. No young race is that calm. Humans gain spaceflight too fast. They must have a secret ally. No, something else is happening. At the far edge of the chamber, the Orathi delegation sat completely still. The Orathi were tall, insect-like beings with long antennae that sensed electromagnetic signals. Their bodies often twitched when nearby minds felt strong emotion. But now their antennae were flat. Something about humans made them uneasy. Finally, Orathi speaker Kelith opened her large black eyes and said, "Send observers." Her voice buzzed softly, but the translator projected it clearly. "Send them to Earth, watch humans, learn why they refused." Many species agreed instantly. The council rarely united on anything: trade, borders, military power, but on this they united fast. They needed answers, and humans were not giving any. The council's investigation begins within hours. Council drones launch from hidden ports around the chamber. They drifted out into space like silver insects, vanishing into the darkness. Some drones were small enough to hide inside dust clouds. Others had stealth fields that erased their signatures. A few could change shape to blend with human satellites. Not all investigations happened through machines. Some species preferred spies, soft-bodied shapeshifters, or silent information dealers with minds like computers. Others sent envoys to Earth pretending to offer simple trade agreements. The council wanted to appear calm, but everything they did showed fear. It took 9 cycles, about 2 human weeks, before enough reports came back to fill the council's data vaults. When the council met again, the chamber was full. Every ambassador came. Even the ones who normally sent holograms arrived in person. This time there was no welcoming ceremony, no long introduction. Everyone wanted the same thing: the truth about humans. What the drone saw, a floating silver orb, rose to the center of the chamber. Light beams flickered inside it like trapped lightning. It was a council information projector designed for high-security meetings. Images appeared in the air: Earth, blue and white, beautiful and calm. And the first report began. Report 1, Human Military Activity. The projection zoomed into Earth's surface. Humans were training everywhere, not a normal level of training, an extreme level. Soldiers on the ground practiced drills with intensity that made several alien ambassadors shift uncomfortably. Their movements were sharper than before. Their eyes were focused, cold, almost knowing. "This is beyond defense practice," said a deep voice from the core dominion. "This is preparation for war." "Against who?" asked the glowing Luma race. "Against us?" "No," said Kelith, her antennae trembling. "Their posture is not one of fear, it is one of readiness. They are expecting something." That made the chamber grow colder. Most species trained only when they felt threatened. Humans trained like they were preparing for a future they had already seen. Report 2, Human Technology. The next image showed human scientists working inside a huge underground facility. Machines glowed with blue light. Strange metal structures formed in long rows. Huge cables ran across the ceiling like veins. "What is that?" whispered someone. The translator tried to identify the constructions, but the system displayed a rare message: unclassified material. Unknown energy source detected. Most council species had thousands of years of technology. They recognized almost anything. But this? "No match," said the silver-skinned Valori ambassador. "Their machines are new, very new, and they should not be able to build this so quickly." "We must assume alien assistance," another ambassador said. "No," Keleth answered. "Humans made this. Their patterns are unique, too chaotic for most species, too creative." Several beings shivered. Human creativity was something the Council respected and feared. Report 3. Human space activity. The projection shifted again. Now it showed the space around Earth. Ships moved in organized formation, more ships than the Council expected for such a young species. Some vessels were large and heavy, others fast and sharp. But the strangest image came from a drone that had hidden itself behind an asteroid. It recorded a huge human ship under construction, bigger than any vessel humans were known to possess, dark, angular, and silent. "Impossible," whispered the crystal ambassador of the Zerathi. "We have no record of a shipyard of this size on Earth." "They built it in secret," Keleth said. "Right under our eyes. How, when, why?" Whispers turned into panic. Nothing made sense. Humans should have been centuries away from building such a ship. Yet there it was, slowly taking shape, its hull absorbing light like a void. "Look at the markings," said a soft cloud-like being to the others. Everyone did. There were symbols carved along the side of the ship. Not human letters, not military numbers, something else, something older. The lights inside the chamber flickered as scanners tried to analyze the symbols. Unrecognized signature, partial match, pre-council age artifacts. The reaction was immediate. Several ambassadors jumped to their feet. "That is not possible. Pre-council culture ever visited Earth. The humans do not have access to ancient star ruins." But one voice cut through the chaos. "They do now," Keleth said quietly. The human mind mystery, the final report, was not about ships or soldiers. It was about something deeper, human behavior, a psychological study. Thousands of hours of recording showed humans talking, eating, working, laughing, arguing. But the investigators looked for something else: patterns. Fear patterns, threat responses, emotional stress signs. The report was simple, projected as text across the air. "Humans show no fear, not less fear, none." A cold silence filled the chamber. "That is impossible," said the Luma ambassador. "Every species fears the unknown." "Humans do not," Keleth corrected. "They fear personal things, loss, failure, danger, but not the unknown itself." "Explain," someone demanded. Keleth's antennae rose slowly. "They behave like they have seen the unknown before." That sentence hit the chamber harder than the humans' refusal. Something older than fear, the High Counselor finally spoke, sounding more troubled than before. "These reports show unusual activity, but they do not explain why humans refuse diplomacy. Why reject our protection? Why turn away from peace?" The question was directed at the whole chamber, but no one answered, not at first. Then a soft voice did. The voice came from an ambassador who had hardly spoken in decades, the archivist of the Soreth, an ancient species that lived inside enormous memory libraries. "We once had records," the archivist said slowly, "of a species long ago, a species that looked human." "You suggest humans are not new," someone interrupted. "I suggest," the archivist continued, "that perhaps their fearlessness is not evolution but memory." Several beings leaned forward in shock. "What memory? What species? Humans evolved on Earth, they cannot be a remnant of anything older." The archivist spoke again, ignoring their panic. "In forgotten history there were stories of travelers, beings who walked the galaxy before any empire rose. Their worlds burned in a war no one survived. Only fragments of their culture remained." "And?" the High Counselor asked. "And," said the archivist, "those ancient travelers carved symbols into their ships, the same symbols now carved onto the human vessel." A deep, uneasy silence spread. The connections formed slowly, terrifyingly. If humans carry ancient knowledge, if humans remember a past war, if humans refuse because they expect something, then everything the Council believed about humanity was wrong. Very wrong. The Council's decision finally, after long discussion, the High Counselor raised his voice. "We must approach them again," he said. "They have information we do not. Perhaps they face an enemy we do not see. Or they are preparing for us," someone hissed. "That is unlikely," Keleth replied. "They do not fear us. That is not the behavior of a species preparing for war against the Council." Her tone darkened. "It is the behavior of a species preparing for something worse." The Council voted. The decision was unanimous: send a small, high-ranked delegation to Earth, request a second meeting, demand an explanation for the strange activity. But deep inside the Council chamber, behind the official votes and calm words, every species felt the same nervous truth: the humans didn't act like a young race. They acted like a race that had already survived something so dark and powerful that joining the Galactic Union seemed pointless. The Council could only hope they were wrong. But hope felt very small, because on the far side of the galaxy, a place no species dared explore, old signals began to pulse again. Signals humans had already detected. Signals the Council had ignored. Signals that whispered of a returning danger. And now, the galaxy understood why humans had said no. The Special Council delegation reached Earth under a mask of diplomacy. Their ships were not threatening, small, bright vessels with soft engines and friendly colors. They wanted to appear peaceful, calm, and harmless. But deep inside those small ships were some of the most dangerous minds in the galaxy. Political strategists, telepathic analysts, ancient historians, energy sensor specialists, and a silent Orathi observer whose only job was to feel the truth. When the delegation landed on Earth, they expected human soldiers, long lines of guards, and heavy machines surrounding the landing zone. Instead, they found children. Human children playing in a park near the landing field. Running, laughing, throwing balls, shouting, completely ignoring the alien ships. It was almost insulting. The Luma ambassador stepped off the ramp, glowing softly. "Do they not understand who we are?" he asked. A human officer approached, smiling politely. "Welcome to Earth," she said. Her voice was simple, warm, and calm, too calm. "We expected armed forces," the Scythe representative whispered. The human officer shrugged. "For what? You are guests, not enemies." That answer made the ambassadors uneasy. Most species feared the council. Humans did not even pretend. The meeting that changed everything. The delegation was transported to a large underground facility. Not secretive or dark, clean white halls with soft lights and plants growing along the edges. It felt warm, almost too normal. Humans walked the halls with relaxed faces, nodding politely. But the aliens noticed two strange things. First, there were almost no guards. Even near important doors, the guards walked casually, not in strict formation. Second, there were maps on the walls showing emergency exits, but not for fire or earthquake. They showed evacuation routes for cosmic events. Something like, if sky rupture detected, follow blue arrows. If gravitational pulse detected, go underground sector 4. These signs confused the delegates. "What is a sky rupture?" the Zorathi ambassador asked. The human guide smiled kindly. "Oh, just a safety protocol, just a safety protocol." No species in the council had ever used those words. The delegation exchanged glances. Something was wrong, very wrong. The human commander finally, they entered a wide conference room. At the head of the table stood a human commander with dark hair, calm eyes, and a face that showed neither fear nor arrogance. She bowed slightly. "Thank you for coming. My name is Commander Hale." The High Counselor's chosen representative, a glowing figure of white energy, inclined his body. "Commander Hale, the Council requests honest answers. We must understand your species' behavior. Your refusal has created suspicion." Hale nodded. "We expected that." "Then you will explain." "I will explain what I can," she said. "Some things we cannot reveal." Silence spread across the room. The Valori ambassador leaned forward. "Then at least answer this. Why did humanity refuse to join the Galactic Union?" Commander Hale looked at each representative one by one. Her eyes were steady, almost gentle. It made the aliens feel small. "Because," she said softly, "we do not believe the Union can protect us." The room froze. It was a direct insult, and yet she said it without pride or aggression. The Scythe ambassador's wings twitched. "We are the strongest alliance in the galaxy." Commander Hale walked to a large window overlooking Earth's night sky. "Yes," she said, "against enemies you understand." Then she tapped the glass. "And what about the ones you don't?" That sentence was like a shadow crossing the sun. The first revelation. The council representatives looked at each other. Finally, the archivist spoke. "Commander," he said, "our reports show unusual human activities, fast technological growth, strange symbols on your new ships, and training far beyond normal standards. Tell us, what are you preparing for?" Commander Hale turned around, and for the first time her calmness cracked, not with fear but with sadness. "We are preparing," she said, "for a return." "A return of what?" asked the Luma. Her voice dropped lower. "Something old." Kelith, the Orathi observer, felt a sudden wave of cold energy from the commander. It was not fear, it was memory, old memory. The room dimmed as she pressed a button. The lights turned off. The walls became a screen. A star map appeared, ancient, dusty, glowing faintly. Lines connected extinct systems. Circles marked lost colonies. The archivist almost fell out of his seat. "I know that map," he whispered. This is from the pre-council age." Commander Hale nodded. "Yes, it's older than your council, older than your empires, older than most species at this table." "But how do you have it?" the Valori ambassador demanded. "Humans are new. You should not have access to ancient star ruins." Commander Hale breathed in deeply. "We didn't find it," she said. "We remembered it." The whole room trembled. Even the air felt suddenly heavier. "Humans," she continued, "carry fragments of this map in our DNA, in our oldest stories, in symbols carved into caves tens of thousands of years before we built cities." She switched the projection. Now the map showed a cluster of red systems crossed out. "Long before any current civilization existed," she said, "something moved through these regions, something powerful enough to erase entire planets." Kelith's antennae shook. She could feel the emotional truth behind Hale's words. Humans were not lying, they were remembering. The enemy without a name, the Soreth archivist, spoke shakily. You speak of the ancient destroyers, the ones that vanished before the council formed. Yes, Hale answered. We found evidence they are not extinct. Gasps filled the room. No, the Luma ambassador whispered. That is impossible, they disappeared millions of years ago. Commander Hale tapped another switch. A new image appeared, blurry, distorted, taken by a human deep space telescope. A long, dark shape moving between stars. It was not a ship, not a creature, not anything the council recognized. It was a shadow that swallowed starlight. Our telescopes found this 3 years ago, Hale said. At first we thought it was a mistake, a sensor glitch, but it grew clearer, bigger. She changed the image again. Now it showed 2 shadows, then 3, then many. They are coming, she said simply. We refused diplomacy because your union cannot stop them and because joining you would slow us down. The council delegation looked shaken. They are coming toward Earth. Keleth asked quietly. Hale nodded. They are coming toward everything. The final admission, the Valori ambassador stood suddenly. Why did you not tell us sooner? The entire galaxy must prepare. Commander Hale shook her head. No, most species are not ready. Some will panic, some will fight each other, some will blame everyone but themselves. We needed time to prepare silently. And now? Asked the archivist. Now we want cooperation, Hale said. Not domination. Not the Union forcing rules on us. A true alliance, one without chains. An equal alliance? The Luma ambassador asked. No, Hale said quietly. Greater, Keleth whispered before anyone else could speak. Commander Hale smiled sadly. We do not want control, but we cannot follow orders either. Humans know this enemy. We are preparing for it, and when they arrive we need every species ready. The High Counselor's representative stared at her through a field of bright light. You want to lead the galaxy into war? Hale shook her head. No, we want the galaxy to survive it. The chamber's reaction silence returned, long, deep, and heavy. Then everything exploded. This is madness. They lie to gain power. No young race should hold such secrets. We must verify these shadows. This may be a new human weapon. Impossible. Humans are too primitive. But Keleth closed her eyes. She felt something powerful coming from the commander. It was not fear, not pride, not ambition. It was certainty. Humans were telling the truth. She raised her antennae. I believe them, she said simply. The room grew quiet. One by one, other ambassadors began to shift nervously. If an Orathi believed it, then the danger was real. Across the room, the archivist spoke again. If the ancient destroyers are returning, then the galaxy is not ready. Hale nodded. That is why humanity said no. We needed freedom to prepare, to build weapons fast, to train, to warn you. And what do you want from us now? Asked the High Counselor's representative. Hale turned to the window again. I want you to follow me, she said softly. Where? Keleth asked. Hale looked at the dark sky. To the edge of the galaxy, she whispered, where the shadows first appeared. The next days on Earth passed with heavy silence. The council delegation stayed in the underground human facility, reviewing the ancient maps again and again. Some ambassadors barely slept. Some refused food. Some collapsed from stress. Only the humans looked calm. Commander Hale moved through the halls with quiet confidence, answering questions, showing restricted maps, and guiding the delegates through human strategy rooms. But she never smiled. Her seriousness was not pride. It was warning. They all understood that now. On the morning of the 3rd day, Commander Hale called the delegates to a launch bay. It was an enormous chamber with metal walls, glowing lights, and rows of sleek black ships lined in perfect formation. But one ship stood at the center. Bigger, sharper, silent like a beast waiting to wake up. It was the same ship the council drone had seen, the one with ancient symbols carved into its hull. The ambassadors felt uneasy just looking at it. The stone-skinned corps diplomat was the first to break the silence. That ship should not exist, he whispered. The archivist stepped closer, tracing the carvings with his eyes. The symbols, he said slowly, they matched the ruins of a forgotten star system. That system died millions of years ago. Commander Hale nodded. Yes, humans found fragments of those ruins deep in our oceans. Oceans? The Luma ambassador asked. How did ruins from space reach your oceans? Hale took a calm breath. There are things in human history even we do not fully understand. The human flagship, the ship's name appeared in glowing letters along the hull. Titan Shadow, your ancestors built it. Keleth asked. No, Hale said. We built it, but the design is not ours. The inspiration came from memories, dreams, old stories, genetic echoes. Humans sometimes see things they should not know. And you trust these echoes? Someone asked. Hale turned her sharp eyes toward the questioner. They have never been wrong. Not one ambassador dared reply. Human instinct was strange and frightening, too accurate, too fast, too deep. Now it seemed like more than instinct, something woven into their blood. Titan Shadow will take us to the edge, Hale said. It is the only ship strong enough to scan the shadows directly. What should we expect? The Valori ambassador asked. Hale looked up at the vast ceiling, as though she could already see the approaching darkness. Expect nothing, she said, expect everything. Departure. The council delegation boarded the Titan's shadow with caution. The interior was unlike human ships they had seen before. The walls were smooth, dark metal with blue lines pulsing like veins. The floors were soft and silent. The air smelled fresh, almost cold. But the strangest part was the sound. There was none. Most ships hummed, buzzed, or clicked from engines and cores. Not this one. Titan's shadow was alive in a different way, silent, waiting. This is unnatural, the Scythe ambassador whispered. Commander Hale responded without turning. It was built for war against unnatural things. The ambassadors followed her into the command deck. A vast window looked out into the night sky. Screens floated in the air with no visible supports. Human officers sat at their stations, focused and calm. When the engines activated, the ship did not shake. It simply moved, smoothly, quietly, fast. Earth shrank behind them. The moon passed like a drifting rock. Mars glowed red for a heartbeat and then vanished as they jumped to faster-than-light travel. Several ambassadors gasped. We did not know humans could travel this fast, the Luma ambassador said in shock. We couldn't, Hale said. Not before the ancient fragments showed us how to build new cores. So humans learned technology from extinct beings. Keleth asked. Hale nodded slowly, or remembered it. First signs the ship traveled for hours through deep space. Stars blurred into white streaks, then into blue haze, then into nothing but darkness. Titan's shadow slowed. A silent alarm flashed on the front screen. Entering uncharted region warning, high gravitational distortion. What does that mean? Someone asked nervously. Hale pointed toward the window. Look, at first they saw nothing, just empty black space. Then something moved, a shimmer, a ripple like a curtain made of darkness. What is that? The Zarathi ambassador whispered. A nebula. No nebula bends gravity, the Valori snapped. As they watched, a part of the darkness twisted. A star behind it stretched, bending unnaturally. The shadow was absorbing light. That is what human telescopes detected, Hale said. The first hint something ancient had awakened. Keleth's antennae shot upward. She felt something impossible, something without emotion, without soul, without life. A dead mind, a cold mind, something older than memory. Oh, she whispered, this is not a shadow, this is a presence. The archivist trembled. The old story said the ancient destroyers traveled without sound, without light, without a form minds could understand. Yes, Hale said quietly, they were not ships, they were not creatures, they were events. Closer inspection. Titan's shadow crept forward, not bravely, carefully. Human officers scanned the anomaly. Holograms displayed strange readings, unstable energy, impossible mass, patterns that did not match physics. The shadow region is changing shape, said a young human navigator. It knows we are here. Knows, the core diplomat repeated. It is alive. Alive in a way we do not understand, Hale replied. The shadow thickened. Dark tendrils extended like fingers. Pull back, Keleth shouted, it is reaching for us. But Hale stayed steady, not yet. The shadows kept growing, then suddenly a bright flash filled the command deck. Screens flickered, the ship trembled, lights dimmed, the archivist screamed. What was that? Commander Hale stared at the readings. Something scanned us. Scanned, Keleth gasped. By what? A mind, Hale said. A mind that remembers the ancient stars. The shadow began to shift again, this time revealing something within it. A shape. A long, dark object larger than any known spacecraft. It is waking, Hale said. We need to move. Finally she gave the order. Full retreat. Titan's shadow jumped backward, light streaking as they escaped the distortion zone. The shadow region did not chase them. It simply settled back into darkness, waiting like a silent predator. When the ship was safely away, the ambassadors' voices filled the deck. What was that? How many are there? Is it coming here? Why did ancient ruins warn only humans? Why didn't it attack? Commander Hale raised a hand and silence returned. It did not attack, she said, because it is not hunting randomly. She pointed back at the map. It is following a path. A path to what? The archivist asked. Hale looked at the stars. A path to the center of our galaxy. Second revelation. Hale turned off the projections and activated a different file. A human voice recorded months earlier. They are returning. We must warn them. We must prepare. This time we will not run. The ambassadors stared. Who said this? Keleth asked quietly. Hale lowered her head. My father. He saw the shadows first, the Valori ambassador asked. No, Hale whispered. He remembered them first. The room froze. What do you mean remembered? Someone asked. Hale lifted her eyes. They looked older than her face, tired, sad, knowing. Humans have dreams, she said softly. Dreams that carry ancient fear. Dreams of burning worlds, dying stars, collapsing skies. Nightmares pass through generations. The archivist covered his mouth. It is impossible. Humans cannot carry memories from a lost age. But Hale only said, Impossible things do not care if you believe in them. Return to the Council. Titan's shadow turned toward the Galactic Council's region. The journey home was quiet, tense, heavy. The ambassadors looked changed, shaken. Some whispered prayers, some stared at nothing. Kelith remained still, eyes half closed, antennae trembling. She could still feel the echo of the shadow's scan, a cold, ancient touch. "This enemy has no emotion," she whispered. "No hate, no desire. It moves like nature, like a storm that decides what must die." Commander Hale nodded. "That is why humans never asked for protection. We always knew the storm would return. We have been preparing since before we understood the night sky." "And now?" asked Kelith. Hale looked at the stars ahead. "Now we must convince the Council before it is too late." The final tension. When Titan's shadow neared Council space, they received a message: urgent, return immediately. Council in emergency session. Unknown signal detected near outer colonies. The ambassadors looked at Hale in fear. "What signal?" the archivist asked. Hale stared straight ahead. "The same one we saw," she whispered. "The shadows reached the colonies. The entire galaxy was changing, and humanity was the only one who had seen the warning coming." Titan's shadow entered Galactic Council territory faster than any ship in known history. Human officers worked without rest. Alien ambassadors sat with tense faces, barely speaking. Everyone felt the same thing: the galaxy had changed. The shadows had moved. War was not a rumor anymore, it was real. A glowing blue message hovered above the command deck: emergency session, outer colony lost, unknown force, no survivors. Kelith's antennae curled in disbelief. They already reached the colonies, but how? We were not gone that long. Commander Hale looked grim. "The shadows travel faster than our physics can explain." The Luma ambassador shook with fear. "What do they want? Why destroy colonies?" Hale answered without hesitation. "They don't want anything. Silence. They don't destroy for revenge or for resources or for territory. They erase because erasing is their nature. A storm does not choose its victims. It simply breaks everything in its path." The archivist lowered his head. "Just like the ancient age, it is happening again." Arrival at the Council. The Galactic Council station was an enormous ring of floating structures, glowing in purple and silver. Dock lights flashed urgently. Ships came and went in panicked waves. This was not the calm heart of the galaxy anymore. This was a nest of fear. As Titan's shadow approached, hundreds of Council ships pointed their weapons at it, not to attack, but out of deep confusion. No Union ship had ever traveled so fast. No young race had ever returned from the edge alive. No one knew what humanity had seen. "Please broadcast our ID," Hale ordered calmly. The human officer nodded. A signal flashed outward. Instant recognition swept through the Council fleet. The weapons pointed away. The distrust did not. The shaking chamber. The ambassadors were escorted directly to the Great Chamber. The path to it was chaotic: panicked workers, alarms, drones flying in every direction, diplomats shouting orders. When the chamber doors opened, a wave of noise hit them like a storm. Ambassadors screamed at each other. Species panicked in their seats. Holograms showed the destroyed colony, nothing but a floating cloud of dust. The High Counselors struggled to stay in control. When Commander Hale appeared at the entrance, a hush fell across the chamber like a blanket dropping from the sky. Everyone stared. A human, someone they once saw as weak, now walked through the hall like a soldier entering battle. Focused, determined, quiet, not proud, not afraid, simply ready. The Council did not call for silence. Silence came on its own. Commander Hale stepped into the center. Kelith, the archivist, and the rest of the delegates joined her, standing beside humanity as witnesses. "The Council demands answers," a High Counselor's voice boomed, sharp and furious. "You return to us with alarming claims. You speak of ancient destroyers, impossible technology, and shadows that bend gravity. And now our colony has vanished. Explain yourselves." Hale bowed her head slightly. "We warned you." Gasps, whispers, sparks of anger. The High Counselor slammed the authority field. "You warned us too late." "No," Hale replied softly. "We warned you as soon as we understood." "And how long have humans known?" Hale looked up at the entire chamber. Her voice echoed through every translator, soft but unshakable. "Longer than you would believe." The testimony. The archivist stepped forward first. "I confirm humanity's discovery," he said. "The shadows fit descriptions of ancient destroyers from prehistory. The ruins match, the symbols match, the energy signature matches." One of the glowing High Counselors trembled with fear. "But they disappeared." "No," Hale corrected. "They slept. And now they wake again." The Scythe ambassador asked. "Yes." Charts appeared above the chamber, maps Hale brought from Titan's shadow. The colony's location glowed red. 2 other systems flashed orange. A third marked with an X. "What do the colors mean?" someone asked. Hale touched the glowing map. "The red is destruction, the orange means next, the X marks the center of their path." "And where is their path leading?" The core diplomat growled. Hale zoomed out. Lines appeared, destruction patterns, movement vectors, predicted curves. They all pointed to one place, the core of the galaxy. A stunned silence froze the hall. But why the core? The Luma ambassador whispered. Hale turned off the projection. Because something there draws them, something old, something powerful, something they want to end. Humanity's preparation. The council erupted again. We must build fleets, evacuate border worlds, warn every species, hide the young races. No fight now, the High Counselor shouted over the chaos. Quiet. Slowly the noise died. Commander Hale, he said, we understand you have prepared. Explain how. For the first time Hale looked tired, not physically, emotionally. We prepared the only way we could, she said. We trained our soldiers without pause. We built ships no young race should build. We studied ancient ruins. We listened to dreams we did not understand. Keleth spoke softly. Humans were afraid long before we knew. Hale nodded. Not afraid, alert. And why did you never ask for help? The High Counselor demanded. Hale looked around the chamber slowly. Because you were not ready to believe us. The council fell silent again. She continued, voice calm and sorrowful. You think in politics, alliances, borders, trade, pride, balance. We think in survival. We think in warnings carried through blood. The shadows do not negotiate. They do not threaten. They do not discuss. She lifted her hand. They erase. The first attack. Suddenly the chamber shook violently. Lights flickered, screens glitched. A deafening alarm screamed through the dome. A message flashed across the air. Immediate alert signal detected near council space. Massive energy signature approaching. Expanding darkness filled the domed ceiling display. The same shape Hale had shown them. The same shadow they saw at the edge, but closer. Much closer. The council panicked. It's here. They followed us. No, it's another one. Defensive fleets to positions. Commander Hale grabbed the central controls. Listen to me. Your defensive lines are spread too wide. They'll break instantly. You need Formation 6. What is Formation 6? Someone shouted. Our formation, Hale said. One we designed from the ancient patterns. The High Counselor hesitated, then shouted, activate Formation 6. Council fleets began moving slowly first, then with human officers shouting directions through the chaos. Hale's voice carried through every ship. Do not shoot until you see the core shadow. The outer layers are illusions. Focus fire in a single point, together. That is the only way to hurt it. The chamber trembled again. Something massive struck the outer shields. Screams filled the hall. On the dome above they saw a dark mass sliding into council space like a wave. Silent. Cold. Impossible, and behind the darkness more shapes moved. It was only the beginning. Humanity takes command. Human ships launch from hidden ports. Titan's shadow ignited its engines, streaking into the battle. Its ancient markings glowed with blue fire. How is that ship so fast? Someone cried. The archivist whispered. Because it was built for this war, not ours, the one from before. Hale transmitted to every fleet. All species fall behind us. Humans lead the first strike. But your ships are too small, the core diplomat argued. No, Hale said softly. Our ships are exactly the size they need to be. On the monitors, Titan's shadow flew straight toward the core of the darkness. Fire on my mark, Hale ordered. Every species held their breath. Every ship prepared. Every heart pounded. The shadow twisted like a great eye turning to look at them. Mark. Thunder rolled across the void as dozens of fleets fired in the same direction. Light speared the darkness. Energy tore through space. For the first time in millions of years, a shadow screamed. It pulled back, not destroyed, but injured. Its massive, endless body rippled. The chamber gasped. It can be hurt, the Luma ambassador whispered. It can be hurt. Yes, Hale said, her voice calm and fierce. But not by any one of you alone, only together. The High Counselor looked at her with new eyes. Commander Hale, he said, Earth is not outside the Union anymore. Humanity must lead us. Hale nodded once. This was never our war alone, but we knew it would begin with us. The dome darkened again. More shadows appeared, dozens, hundreds, a silent army older than history, but for the first time the galaxy did not face them alone. Humanity stood at the front, ready, prepared, and unafraid.